Whoa. Okay. Main presentation time. Contributing to open source security. So I'm better at speaking than presenting, so this will be more of a talk than a presentation, if that makes sense. The slides don't have a lot on them. It might be short, but hopefully you'll have questions. If I don't have answers, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'll try to get back to you that way. On LinkedIn, of course, just Thomas Breland. Same bad picture that's on the meetup flyer. Um, anyway, so people ask me all the time, Big Tom, how can I get started in security? And these are some of the answers to that. Volunteering, we could use volunteers. Um, I volunteered for a little bit. It's pretty cool. Highly recommend, but you can volunteer at events and contributing and doing all kinds of things. Um, the holiday party, want to do some more CTF events. I don't have a lot of things at the top of my mind right now, but the most important thing is just if we have more volunteers, we can do more things. There are projects that the other co-leads would like to take on, and it's a matter of effort. But if you want to do more um, CTFs and cool events and things like that, like we'd like to bring more conferences here that are security related and stuff. Yeah, definitely reach out and let us know you're interested, and we'll start trying to make some things happen there. About me. Um, you're probably thinking to yourself right now, why should I be listening to this guy about, and we're moving on. So Get Immersion. Um, this is a great website. Uh, Jim, the author, unfortunately no longer with us, but this lives on getimmersion.com. If you haven't tried it out, please do. It's everything about Git. There are a lot of people who have been, I've seen, they've got degrees in computer science, they've got years of experience, and they still struggle with Git, cherry picking commits and reflogging and rebasing and dealing with merge conflicts and all these things. If you go through this course, now I think it's Ruby based, but it's not really about the Ruby. It's about the Git. They'll tell you what changes to make, and you'll go through all the steps with Git. If you go through this one or two times, you're going to have better Git foo than probably anyone you work with. If you start here, this will make your life doing, contributions, because all of these are on, even if it's not a purely software development project, like everything's on Git. Like this will make your life so much easier up front if you master one skill. Start with Git. First contributions. So if you go to this URL, firstcontributions.github.io, and actually let me see if I can post these in the chat if that's easier. I don't have that one clickable here. Okay. If you go there, they actually have like a searchable list of open source projects that use different technologies. So if there's a place that you feel more comfortable with, or just getting started in open source contributions in general, like find the technology you're comfortable with, find a project and start there. But they also have a basically, if you go to the actual GitHub page for this, it's a walkthrough for making your first contribution, for making your first PR, and what that looks like. You make a fork. All you need to get started is browser, an integrated development environment, IDE, or like a text editor, but like VS Code or Vim or whatever you're using. Have Git installed, whether it's the desktop version or the CLI, and then just read along in the readme.md and it'll walk you through it. It sounds like super simple, and it is super simple, but if you haven't done it before, it's like it's good to just do it once, and then it's like, okay, I understand Git. I understand to fork and put in a PR and where to find the issues and where the contributors.md is and everything. And it just makes life a lot easier. So I wanted to do a demo of this, but I know like live demos always go wrong, even if they're super simple. So I actually asked one of my colleagues to come and run this part for me so I don't have to worry about it. Now, my colleague here is a CISP, SysM, AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, Azure Administrator Associate, done risk assessments, security training, setting up cyber ranges, software development, DevOps, cloud architecture, just about anything you can think of. Former Army veteran, signal support, combat engineer, did demolitions, led an infantry platoon for a year, was second in command of a signal company. Just compassionate, generous, and above all else, a man who I'm proud to call my friend. So take it away. Thank you, Thomas, for the warm introduction. Now, here we are on the first contributions repo. Now, before I get started, I think it's worth mentioning at the bottom, they have the instructions for if you're using a GUI, a graphical user interface, if you want to use GitHub desktop or something. We're going to use the command line interface here because I think it's easier using Linux. A lot of open source development things are kind of tailored towards it. So if you haven't tried it, I definitely recommend it. It's actually kind of easier once you get started. So you'll have to have SSH configured already, which is easy enough to Google, or if you clone using HTTPS, it'll just prompt you to log in the browser or something. So just following the instructions right along, fork the repository. So go here, create a new fork, and that seems simple enough. All right, now that we're here, going to copy the clone URL, clone that, change directory with CD into that here. All right, so switch to our own Git branch, git switch, add this guy, make the necessary changes. So it says opencontributors.md in a text editor. We'll be using Vim because I'm too lazy to configure Emacs. Add your name to it. Don't add it at the beginning or the end of the file. Put it anywhere in between. Now that's probably to avoid merge conflicts. Anyway, going to a random place in here. Try to keep it as uniform as possible. Hopefully no typos. Now, if we do git status, we can see which files we changed. If we do git diff, we can see what was changed. So let's see. Gotta add the change and commit with a commit message. Add my name to contributors list. All right, that looks good. Now push your changes. Git push -u origin and the branch name, which you can also see right there. All right, looks good. Submit your changes for review. So there is a compare and pull request button. That's pretty much it. We'll go to home, compare and pull request. It goes right there to the base repository's main branch. And yep, you can create a pull request there. That's simple enough. I don't think I'm actually going to create one, but that's how you would do it. All right. Thank you for coming to my demo. Yes, that is what we love to see. That is the kind of highly technical presentation that you can only get here at OWASP Atlanta. The Bjarne Stroustrup of our generation, the next John Carmack, the future father of my children, ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Breland. So, anyways, OWASP projects, and this is, I think, the part that you all actually came here for. There are a lot of projects, and again, I love the OWASP top 10. It's how I got interested in this. Juice Shop, which I've done a couple, little small contributions and got a few lines of code in there. And but there are a lot that I wish people would talk more about. Generally, like if there's anything security related you can think of, they probably have some sort of project in OWASP like this. If you go to owasp.org/projects, and I'm going to post that here, you can see what a bunch of them are about. So check those out, check out their GitHub pages, and you can look at the open issues and you can join the conversation there. I mean, like that's how I got started. It's like there was a project I liked, there was an issue that I was like, oh, this is like Node, Angular stuff. I have experience with this. And it's like wherever you feel comfortable starting, like there's probably something somewhere. And it doesn't matter how small the contribution is. It's like it's about getting started. So there's OWASP mass is for attack surface management. It'll like you give it an endpoint, it pulls all the related accounts and information about them and stuff and helps you to understand your attack surface. Cyclone DX is for like software bill of materials kind of stuff. That's like letting you know supply chain stuff, all of the applications and dependencies that go into an application. So you can, well, software supply chain, if there's a vulnerability somewhere along the line, you want to know about that. OWASP Juice Shop, of course, that is for learning web application pen testing. It is a modern but purposefully vulnerable application. And again, you can find, I mentioned this before we started recording, but you can find walkthroughs for different problems in OWASP Juice Shop. And in order to defend, you have to understand what you're defending against for web application security, starting with these walkthroughs. It's not cheating. Like, just you have to start somewhere. Go through the walkthroughs, and like this is how you can begin to understand web application security like firsthand. And you know, you can spin it up yourself, and then it's in a controlled environment where you can't get in trouble for pointing all the cool tools out there at it. The mobile application security project, OWASP Mass. This is a lot. There's the mobile application security verification standard, mobile application security weakness enumeration, the testing guide. There's a checklist, all kinds of stuff about mobile application security. And they've got like governance and risk management type stuff related to it and everything. So like all the way from your highly technical, excuse me, specific things to like more like general business considerations and stuff. Like it's all in there. It's really good. OWASP CRS is a set of, it's the core rule set. It's a set of firewall rules which can be loaded into mod security or compatible web application firewalls. OWASP Karaza is a Golang enterprise grade web application firewall. So it's like layer 7 looking at the traffic that's coming in through a reverse proxy or whatever to your website, and you know, following these rules to figure out if the traffic is legitimate or if they're trying to, you know, do SQL injection or other things against you. OWASP Threat Dragon is for threat modeling. OWASP SAM is the software assurance maturity model. It's like secure software development lifecycle and more. Governance, design, implementation, operations, verification. The OWASP top 10, I'm sure you've all heard of. That's just the top 10 vulnerabilities out there in the web application security world. There are other top 10 lists like the mobile top 10 and the top 10 for LLM applications. And then the OWASP cheat sheets, which I can't stress this enough. If you haven't bookmarked that, if you haven't spent some time there, like please do. Anything you're working on in software, like there's a cheat sheet about it, and it is so helpful for understanding the security implications of anything you could be working on. This is highly underrated. So the OWASP Project Summit. So when I put in that, you know, there's initial commits, and I was working on this problem, and it was a small problem on Juice Shop. It was some Angular migration stuff. It's like there was just a little part of it that was very annoying, and I happened to know how to deal with it. And so I did that, and then I was invited to the project summit. And now I don't think they have it every year, especially since COVID. They didn't have a few, but I was invited out, and I covered my own plane ticket, but they had you know, sometimes they were able to like help out with those as well and stuff like that. But the project summit was in England, and people came from all over, and we went to the Center Parcs out in Woburn, and I got to like that was all covered. I didn't have to pay for my room and board and my food and all that kind of stuff when I was there. And I got to meet people who are working on all these projects like OWASP Mass and the core rule set and Karaza and all these different things. People coming from all over the world, you know, from like the Switzerland, um, I don't know, different places out all across Europe and the Middle East, and I think even Central America, just like all over the world there to work on projects. And so different projects had their own quarters, their own lodging they were staying in, and then we would come together for meals and stuff like that. But I could walk around and talk with people who are actually subject matter experts from all over the world and all these different things, and I was able to meet them and learn from them. And this is the kind of opportunity that like I didn't get to do this in college. Like this is it's definitely worth doing, and it's not the only way to get that kind of like communication and experience. The OWASP events are going to be great for that as well. So there are global AppSec conferences. There are a few of the locations that they're coming up in. There are the OWASP AppSec days, which are organized by local volunteers. And again, these events happen all over the world. If you have the opportunity to attend a conference, or I would say even better, to volunteer for a conference, like if you put volunteer in your LinkedIn and you start going around and like you're actually in there and you're talking to people, working to people, like it's a great way to network, and you'll find that there are lots of people who are really excited about what they do and they want to share it, and you can learn from subject matter experts all over the world, and you're not paying tuition to do it. Like, anyways, I couldn't yeah, I can't over exaggerate this. Like, definitely get involved, start volunteering at events. That is a great way to get started in the open source community and learn more about what's going on. But for your professional development, for your own learning and enjoyment, like these are great places to be. Yeah, CFP review, I put that on there. Call for papers. I was doing a call for papers reviews for one of the conferences as well. I think it's the Global AppSec in DC. It's like people submit papers and you can volunteer to review the papers, like get in the Slack, reach out to people on LinkedIn and just, get involved any way you can. And yeah, the biggest thing is just being able to learn from people who are like some of the best in the world at this stuff is great. The OWASP Slack, we talked about that. The join link is down, but reach out to us to one of the channels and we'll try to get you a link. Um, Opportunity cost. This is a slide where I'm just going to rant a little bit because I know a lot of people who they go to college, and I'm not saying don't go to college. If what you want to do requires a degree, then it might make sense. But consider all your options, LEP tests, ACE credits, study.com, Sophia Learning, like make sure the school is accredited one and make sure that these credits will transfer. But if you can save a year, I've heard of people saving even 2 years, or they went to an accredited online school and saved more time going at their own pace. That's all time that instead of spending money that you're able to make money, even if it's a lower than average wage, that's a much better place to be. Sorry, it's the popcorn. I spilled it all over. Um, Instead of paying interest on debt, you're oh yeah, the Slack invite features down. The instead of paying interest on debt that you're accruing, you could be making interest. You could be saving and investing money. So even if it's a relatively small amount, so like think about how valuable your time and your money is. And oftentimes people tell me, "Well, I need to go to school so that I can network." But you're networking with professors who are, often they're given the same recommendations to other students. You're networking with students who are going to be in the same difficult job market as you. You if you can network with people who are subject matter experts already out there in the field and learn from them, like I would rather spend as much time as possible doing that. So whatever you can do to get through that piece as fast and cheap as possible, like all that time you save. And I went to a really, really good school for my master's degree, and the excuse me, for the master's program. I did not finish. I was a dropout. I don't have a master's degree. I only have a bachelor's. But it's like I dropped out because I had amazing teachers. It was a great program. I was learning a lot. But for the time I was putting in, I could have been working a whole other job, and making money and gaining that experience was more valuable to me. And because I did that, I was able to spend more time networking with other people and learning more things and making more money. Um, it just really, really think about the opportunity cost. Um, let's see, networking experience. So one thing with gaining experience, you can kind of reach this point if you're actually actively contributing in open source where it doesn't really matter how many years of professional experience you have. It's like people can't deny that you know what you're doing. You can start getting out and giving talks on something, and people can't deny that you know what you're doing. Guled, actually, one of our co-leads, told me a while back, he said, you do all kinds of great things, but no one knows about it, so it doesn't matter. He said it in a much more polite way than that, but that's what I took away. And he encouraged me to start contributing and posting and speaking and things. And it's like, that's how I got my current job, was just doing talks. And to get started, all you have to do is get good at one thing. Like, don't cast a wide net. Don't try to feel like you have to be an expert in all the things. Just pick one thing and get really good at that one thing. are good enough to start adding value, and you start there and you post about that and you talk about that and you open pull requests on that and you contribute on that and you build out from there. And that's a great way to start gaining experience. Passion versus opportunity. So I wanted to also say, don't let passion get in the way of your opportunity. You might have a thing that you really want to do, but you're able to do this other thing and there's opportunity there. So if you want to do offensive security, but you get an opportunity to do defensive security, like take it. If you want to do, some sort of security engineering, but you only get to do sales engineering, it's like take it. Like you want to make as much money as possible in as little time. I hate to say it, but it's kind of what it is. Like there's no way around it. You have to put food on the table, and it's like the more time you save and the more money you make, the more time and money you have to spend with the people that you care about and doing the things that you're passionate about. So yeah, don't let your passion get in the way of opportunity. That was a little disorganized, but those are kind of the things I wanted to talk about all at once. A little bit of ranting. Um, yeah, speaking of picking one thing, okay, I had some examples. I forgot to talk about this, but it could be like Bootstrap, UI, UX, or even upgrading versions, going from Bootstrap 3 to 4 to 5 can be a pain. Docker, for some people, it's like, they start with Docker and they get good at Docker files and configuring registries and using Docker Compose and Docker Swarm. And it's like, even if they're not the best developer, even if they can't do DB admin and cloud architecture and all these other things, like if you can just do that one thing and bring value, that's enough. Like databases, migrations, recovery point objectives, recovery time objectives, backup and recovery stuff, indexing, sharding, like you just focus on that. There's tons of free courses on it. AWS Skill Builder has some stuff on it. Like you could be dealing with databases. You could be GitHub Actions. Like just pick one thing. If you cast too broad of a net, people are going to see you as often early on in the career as like you don't really know what you want to do or you're not the best fit for the job. They're looking for the person that's the fit for the job. You got to convince them that you can solve that business problem for them. So like specialize early on and then branch out. And definitely be open to defensive security because there's going to be more options there. There's going to be more opportunity and generally there's less competition. You know, defense isn't optional in the world of security. Definitely study offensive security. You got to understand what you're protecting against, but definitely be open to defensive security work. Oh, come on. Next slide. Okay, there we go. Call to action. So yeah, volunteer, join the conversation, even if it's getting on GitHub and looking through the issues and the talks there. Submit talks. You can start here. Um, I have a breakdown. I collected the talk topics from the last year. We had one on bill of materials. We had one on secure software development lifecycle, one on mobile malware, one on application security posture management, one on industrial automation control systems and operational technology security. And we had one on Gen AI security, generative AI for offensive security, and generative AI for secure software development. There are subtopics and categories within those that you could speak on, but if there's anything not on this list that you're interested in, like ransomware, someone mentioned earlier, or you're interested in like advanced persistent threats and you've been doing research on that, like just, study one thing and this you can contribute to the conversation just by like, I've been going to talks, I've been going to events, and I don't hear anyone talking about this, and like talk about that thing. It's that easy to get started. And let's see. That's all I got on here. All right. So here I am. Well, anyone have any questions about things? You can unmute.
Um, is there an open source project that's on the defensive security side that you would recommend?
I think like the CRS and Karaza, I mean, there are a bunch of them, but those in particular, like I'm really interested in web application firewalls right now. And the core rule set, I think that would be a great way to get started in things. And that's another thing too. It's like you don't even necessarily have to be a coder. Like if you can contribute with testing or documentation, quality assurance kind of stuff, event organizing, like there are so many ways to contribute. But that project the core rule set has a lot of opportunity writing like YARA rules and things like that. But yeah, I posted the link, look at the OWASP projects list and anything that you think is interesting. Yeah, go look at the GitHub issues. Any other questions? I'm going to stop the